Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my long-awaited beef freezer meals video. I know a few of you have been really excited for this one and I am so excited to share it with you. I have a ton of meals, I don't even know how many. So without further ado, let's get into it. I want to give you a quick reminder to subscribe. I do post food-related videos every single Sunday. And let's get into the video. Alright, the first recipe I'm going to make is a version of my sausage and gnocchi casserole that I have made for a What's for Dinner video, and I'm trying to turn it into a freezer meal. So I started by cooking some Italian sausage as well as a 12-ounce container of potato gnocchi that is here. It's just like little potato dumplings, and I just layer the gnocchi in a pan, layer the sausage over that, and then I'm going to go ahead and make a little sauce to go on top of this. And for this sauce, it is basically an Alfredo sauce, so I'm starting with quite a bit of butter. Again, I actually tripled this recipe, so that's why that's a lot of butter. And I am cooking some Bowtie pasta because I wanted to make more batches of it, and I only had the one pack of gnocchi, so that's why I'm gonna do the rest with pasta. So I melted the butter and then I added the cream. And then I'm going to add some Parmesan cheese. Like I said, it's a really pretty simple Alfredo sauce. One of the biggest tips that I have learned in this whole filling my freezer before baby challenge that I've been doing and making freezer meals is if you can layer things in the pan rather than having to mix them up in a bowl first, it makes it so much easier because you save on dishes, you save on space if you're making like a triple batch. It's just so much easier to layer the ingredients as you go as much as possible. Obviously, if it's a sauce, you have to kind of mix it together, but you know, like with the pasta and the sausage and the sauce, just being able to layer that makes such a huge difference in prep time. And when you cook it, as long as you have the proportions right, it'll all melt together and be delicious anyways. And I mean, if it's not, you can always mix it up in your bowl, but I've never had a problem with things being too separated when I did that. So that's a huge tip and a huge thing that I've learned in all of these freezer meals that I've been making lately. Alright, now we're going to move on to a cheeseburger casserole. So I'm starting by sauteing a bunch of onions and some ground beef, and I believe this onion ground beef mixture was for more than one recipe, but the next one you're going to see me make is a cheeseburger casserole. So I'll probably be using the ground beef, I think, for like 2 or 3 more recipes. Which is another tip, always, if you have big enough dishes, batch prep your ingredients if you plan ahead. It's quite helpful. Okay, so this is one of my favorite recipes, but I've never made it as a freezer recipe before, so I'm not sure how this will reheat, but for the sauce, it is just milk and cheese. That's like pretty much it, and you don't even heat it up when I've made this before and put it right in the oven. And I like to serve it over tater tots because I feel like it kind of goes with the cheeseburger theme. So it looks a little weird. I'm not sure why I put the shredded cheese in the milk like that, but I had to end up kind of spreading it out with a spoon, but I think it'll all work out. I just topped it with some diced tomatoes, and that is the cheeseburger casserole. Okay, now we are going to move on to making some stuffed shells. Okay, mix it up.
Oh, I'll set up now?
Mix it up.
Okay. Mix. Maybe we'll outset now. When we take the outset, take the first step, really what?
As you can see, I was a little bit distracted there, so I didn't actually get to filming the stuffing of the shells, but there they are stuffed. It was a basic ricotta sauce. I will list all the ingredients in the description box. And there are these stuffed shells. I just topped them with marinara and mozzarella. So the next couple meals I'm going to speed through because I didn't have a chance to film myself making all of them. I just kind of took shots as I got to each step because I was getting really busy and distracted. But this is a penne pasta bake with ricotta cheese marinara sauce. I will list all the ingredients in the description box. And then the next one I made was a shepherd's pie. I did end up topping this with mashed potatoes and cheese, and just moving right along. The next few recipes I will show you me making them, but those ones I just kind of got too distracted. Alright, and I do want to mention that I did film this over several days. I have learned not to try to make myself do too much in one day. I'm currently 38 weeks pregnant too, so you know, I allow myself to just kind of take my time. But this day I had more time, so I was able to really film myself making them, and we are starting with a Philly cheesesteak casserole. Doesn't that sound amazing? Then into the pan where the ground beef was, I am going to toss in the onions and let those kind of sweat for a minute or two while I finish chopping the green peppers, and then I'm going to throw those in as well. Alright, while those are sauteing, I am going to chop up some white button mushrooms. I did wash these before I chopped them, obviously. I wash all my produce, I just feel like I have to say that sometimes, just as a reminder, especially mushrooms because they're very dirty. But it's always a good idea to wash all of your vegetables, all the time. So, I'm chopping these up and then I'm going to toss those in as well. Like I said, this is a Philly cheesesteak casserole, so it's got all the classic Philly cheesesteak elements. And then after those vegetables are all softened, I'm going to add some minced garlic, some Worcestershire sauce, and then the ground beef. Oh, and some salt. And the last two ingredients in the casserole are beef broth and cream cheese. And there it is. It did take a couple minutes for the cream cheese to fully melt, and I had to kind of get in there with a spoon and make sure it was all melting okay, but my goodness does it look delicious. So I did decide to include tater tots with this one since there wasn't a carb in the recipe. I just put tater tots on top, and then I topped it with mozzarella cheese. And I thought I would give you guys a quick shot of how I do cover my freezer meals. I try to do that in every freezer meal video at least like once so that you can see, but I just use saran wrap and tin foil. Alright, moving right along, we got 3 more recipes to go. So next I am making a beef with wild rice casserole. It called for chicken broth, but I wanted to use up my beef broth, so I think I ended up doing a combination of both, which is totally fine. I think it'll be totally fine. I'm not too worried about it. Anyways, so I have the broth along with some butter, and I'm starting by melting that with some long grain rice and wild rice mixed together. While that is heating up, I am going to prep the veggies, which is just onions and celery and carrots. Pretty standard. Mirepoix, right? And then along with the vegetables, I am adding some milk, some soy sauce, and some sour cream. Okay, moving right along. Now we are making a smoked sausage tortellini bake. This is another idea that I got from one of my what's for dinner recipes, and I thought this would make a really good freezer meal. So we shall see. I haven't tried it as a freezer meal yet, but I have high hopes. So starting with the chopped onions, always seem to be starting my recipes with chopping onions, right? I am also going to chop up a couple of rings of smoked sausage. Obviously, I am doubling all of these recipes, so if you're just making one, you just need one, but I figured since I was going, I might as well go all out and get double the recipes for my effort, right? And my planning and all of that. So yes, I'm just gonna chop up the sausage and then I'm gonna saute the onions and sausage together. Then I'm going to add some diced tomatoes along with some chicken broth, bring that to a simmer, and then add the tortellini, allow that to cook for a little bit and come back to a simmer. And then I added some heavy whipping cream, mixed that together, let that come back up to heat, and then I added the cheddar cheese, just shredded cheese. And then when I added it to the casserole pans, I did end up adding even more cheese because I wanted to thicken it up. It was a very liquidy. I don't know if I messed it up or if that's just how it's supposed to be. I think I might have added a little bit too much liquid. I'm not sure, but it was almost more like a soup consistency. So I added some extra cheese to thicken it up just a little bit when it was in the pan. Alright, last recipe. This is a sloppy Joe casserole. So I'm starting by sauteing an onion as usual, and then once that is sauteed, I'm going to add my ground beef. My ground beef was from the fridge, so that's why it's kind of a little hard, needed to be warmed up. As I'm warming that up, I am adding 2 cans of manwich, keeping it real simple and classy here. Along with that, I am adding some diced tomatoes as well as chicken broth. Alright, when that is up to a simmer, I am adding the Bowtie pasta, which is basically the carb of this, and allow that to cook right in the casserole. There's totally enough liquid in there, and as you can see, it turned out really well. It did cook thoroughly. Then after the pasta's cooked, add some corn and some shredded cheese. You want some pineapple? Our pineapples are not ripe yet. They're not ready. We gotta wait a few more days. Okay? Alright, so I realized as I'm editing this and looking at my recipe that I totally forgot an ingredient from the recipe I was following. They called for an additional 8 ounces of Velveeta cheese, and it's funny because I bought Velveeta cheese just for this recipe and I forgot to put it in. So it's still in my fridge and I'll have to find something else to do with it because I don't know what to do with Velveeta cheese. Anyways, I thought I would mention that in case, you know, you make this and you want to do it right. Probably, maybe it needs the Velveeta cheese. I don't know. I'll let you know. Anyways, guys, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye!